Oi! Headhunter! What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Headhunter Hideout. I am super excited for episode 7. I have a LinkedIn video legend, Mark Gaisford, with us. He is a co-founder of Red Sprout Media, and he's business to business content marketing. So does a very similar thing to what we do at Hoxo. But yeah, happy to have you here, Mark. I know
Cheers.
How do we connect? We connected on Clubhouse, which is kind of ironic, and we were just chatting about that. But yeah, I know you were in the recruitment sector as well. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you transitioned from recruitment to doing what you're doing now, if you're open to sharing that.
Yeah, God, yeah, absolutely. I wanted to get out of the recruitment sector for ages. I found a vehicle. No, I'm joking. I've been in it. I've been in the recruitment industry for donkey's years. I mean, it's probably approaching 30 odd years, and I am that old. And and then COVID came along, and like every other recruiter, on the planet, business just went straight. Yeah. I mean, we were recruiters to the marketing world, but we were beyond that. We were recruiters to the marketing agency world, so they were already being outsourced anyway. So you can just imagine how the business just completely fell, off the edge of a cliff as soon as this happened. But I think because we'd done so much work ourselves on building Red Sprout as a brand, and a lot through video and through LinkedIn, to me, and I mean, everyone said it to us at the time, it's a no-brainer. We just do it. We just go for it now, and start to do the marketing side of it. And I'm lucky because I had Liv, who's a co-founder of Red Sprout Media, who's come from the marketing agency world. So you've got me, the nutter, who's got the recruitment experience, but we've also got that in-house marketing experience with Liv as well. So we just kind of got our heads together over that first lockdown in the UK and thought, this is the way we want to go, really. So, and we've not really looked back since. So yeah, good fun.
I love that. Yeah, I love it. Obviously not the COVID part, but the fact that you were able to pivot away from the recruitment industry. We were chatting a little bit beforehand too, and I've been asking everybody that's been on the live show recently. We met on Clubhouse. So real quick, I know this isn't a Clubhouse conversation, but I'm curious to kind of hear your thoughts, how you're potentially using it, if you're using it, and what your thoughts are on that platform.
So the last time, so when we were on Clubhouse, and we met each other on that channel, I've not been back since. I mean, literally, and that's not because I don't like Clubhouse. I love the whole concept of it. I just haven't got the time. And it's so, you need a lot of time to put into Clubhouse, I think, to get anything out of it. And I haven't got the time to be a consumer, and I certainly haven't got the time to start planning anything to put out. I mean, I think my default channel is still always going to be LinkedIn. And even then, I'm still confining myself mostly to the main LinkedIn newsfeed. I don't do any LinkedIn stories, but I think, for us, that's always been the channel that has produced the best results. We've got our strongest audience on. So when your time poor, you've got to go where you're going to get the return quickest, I guess. And so I love Clubhouse, but I just literally haven't got the time to do it, to be honest with you. So yeah, not been back since.
I'm curious, like I came across, I think the video that came across my radar with you on it was the post that you did. I think it was about not having friends, basically, or like not having friends. But it was just like, loneliness in the UK, which I'm sure with the lockdown, I'm sure like this would be a kind of a more appropriate video. But that video went absolutely viral. Was that the most views you ever got on a video? I'd love to hear that backstory. So like, how did that come about, and why do you think that video took off?
It seems like an age ago now. I think it was the Christmas before last. It was Christmas before the one that's gone. And my kids are getting to that age. My son's 24, my daughter's 21. My son had moved out and to start his life with his girlfriend, and my daughter had gone to uni. And I kind of looked in the mirror and just thought, Jesus, I've spent all my life doing career and family, and I've really not devoted any time to friends because I haven't had any time to do that. I'm a self-confessed workaholic, and so everything went into family or work. And then when the family starts to move and disappear and all the rest of it, you kind of look and think, Jesus, okay, I've got no one else in my circle now. So it was that moment of realization that I just thought, I've got to do something about this now, you know, because otherwise I'm just going to end up a really sad old lonely git. So and as with most of my content, it just tends to be off the cuff, totally genuine, authentic. It is who I am, so I'll say it as I see it. And so I just did that video that basically said, look, I've got no mates. This is where I find myself in life. And so this is what I did to go and try and improve that situation. And I think it's classic Casey Neistat storytelling. It was set up, conflict resolution. What's, you know, set up, here's the situation, what's the conflict, how did we resolve it? And just by telling that story, and you can do that still within a minute and a half or whatever that video was, but the design behind that story was essentially that: set up, conflict resolution. And everybody resonated, but so many, I mean, millions and millions and millions of people resonated with it.
I'm curious how many shares that got.
Oh my God, I can't even remember the numbers now. It was ridiculous. It had something like 30,000 likes on it on a video, and over 1 million views, which again for LinkedIn numbers is just staggering. But it just resonated with people, you know, and people from all sorts of different age groups as well. I kind of thought it would be the 50 pluses like me, but I had I had thousands of messages, literally, from people as young as 16, 18, 20, that sort of age group, all the way up, who just basically said, yeah, you've just spoken to me. That's me. That's my life. And I think what people don't realize, and that just to bring it back into sort of the commercial world, is that won us business, that video, even though that is a real from the heart video saying, look, this is me, this is my life, this is what I'm going to do with this situation. I've got loads of messages from people saying, yeah, that's me. Oh my God, thank you for putting it out there. It's something that people don't talk about, blah, 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 blah. But there was a percentage of people that said all of that and then said, oh, and by the way, we were recruitment at the time, so can you help us recruit XYZ? Of course we can, no problem at all. So we won business on the back of that video. And this is the big connect from me, from a marketing perspective. This is the big leap that people have got to take in their heads, is working out that putting out content about what's going on in your life is content that will win you business, because we play to one fact that is the same the world over: people buy from people. And if I'm going to allow my audience to get to know me and feel like they want to do business with me, that's the sweet spot with all of this stuff. And there will be a percentage of them that don't. They think I'm an idiot and they wouldn't want to do business with me. Fine, go and do business with someone else. I haven't got a problem with it at all. But for the ones that do get it and do like me as a person, come on, yeah, we'll do business. Let's have some fun with it. So that's how that whole thing works.
Yeah, I love that. And we got a couple of comments here that I just want to get to. We got Zach just said 2 legends here indeed. So
thanks, Zach. I'm not sure it's true, but hey.
We got Rushikesh just said hello, motivators. I don't know if how motivating we are, but apparently. And then we got Kevin, and Kevin is he's a fellow recruiter. Should check out some of his videos as well. He's been getting having some fun with them as well on LinkedIn, so it's great to see that. Nice. And then Jennifer just said COVID was tough in many ways, but what a great time to stop, reflect on where you are in life, and create something totally new. 100% there. So appreciate that. Guys, just so you know too, if you have specific questions on video content, definitely ask those in the chat, because Mark has a ton of experience. He's probably been creating videos longer than most on the platform, but also really, like you said, it's very authentic content. And so just a great opportunity to ask questions. And I see we got Aaron as well from the Hoxo team. So hey everyone, good to see you, Aaron. Okay, so when you're working with clients, I'm curious, like, because I know even just in working with a handful of clients that I've worked with in the past, particularly on like the video side, there's a lot of fear surrounded and confusion with like call to actions, and we've got to make sure that it ties back in the business. So I'm just curious, like when you're working with your clients, how do you coach them past that, or like why do you think people have like where do you think that's come from in terms of obviously you got your marketing videos, personal branding is a little bit different.
It's classic B2B marketing attitude though, isn't it? I mean, where's the ROI? I mean, if there's a question that in marketing in B2B you get all the time, it's where's the ROI and how quickly can I see it? And the reality is this is not sales, it's marketing. And you have got to push beyond that point that is How do I link it back to the business? And the problem with I mean, you don't do that when you go onto Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. As you go there to watch the videos and to see the content and all the rest of it. But as soon as we go to LinkedIn, we kind of put this business hat on that says, right, I'm not Mark anymore. I'm Mark Gaisford, CEO of Red Sprout Media, and therefore I must talk about what we do. And people forget, no one gives a shit. No one cares what we do. Could not give a stuff. And so instead of that, and this is how we have to coach our clients, and it is a tough one because naturally you want to be telling everybody about your business, but no one cares about your business. So it's got to be more content that is. I mean, we have this thing in the business called our little acronym, which is called ERIE content. And that's all about making entertaining, engaging, relatable, inspirational, or educational content. And if you can hit as many of those little buttons as you can with a single piece of content, you've got stuff that's going to fly off the page and people are going to enjoy. The two real critical ones, because it doesn't have to be entertaining all the time, but definitely relatable and definitely engaging. And engaging is a lot about how you put that piece of content together, how you put that piece of video content together. But if you can hit those two, you've got a good piece of content. And what happens here is people relate to that and they come on and they show that they appreciate that content by liking and commenting and sharing. And because they like the content, invariably they want to head over to your personal profile and follow you or connect with you because they want to see more of what you've just produced. So what's happening here is your audience is growing and building, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And people say to me, yeah, but I don't want a big audience of all these different people. I just want the specific target audience. Well, they're in there as well. When your big audience is growing, so is your niche target audience. That's inside the big audience, and that's growing as well. And then bringing it back to business, you can produce all this great, entertaining, engaging, relatable, inspirational, educational content, and then you drop in a bit of Barry. A little bit of Barry Scott trying to flog Sill It Bang. And I did it this week and we won business on it. So this week I put out a video that said B2B marketing as dull as dishwater.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Right. And on the back of that, we've got 2 new clients because it was very, very subtle, but it just basically said, look, and it was like Ghostbusters at the end. If you don't, this is easy. All you've got to do is make ads that don't suck. And if you find that hard, you know who to call. And that was my bit of Barry Scott content, trying to flog people Sill It Bang, and we won some business on the back of that. So but then for content following on from that is going to be more personal brand, more genuine, authentic, real, what's going on in my life, what's going on in the business life, all that kind of stuff as well. So you've got to mix it up, but you've also got to build trust and credibility with your audience. Otherwise, why would they listen to you in the first place? I will now shut up, Joel, because I've gone on for ages.
No, man, it's really cool to hear that, and I'm 100% on board. I'm curious, like would you have ever seen yourself being like a big in like the video and marketing side of things? Like, was that always there? Like, how did that happen?
Not a clue, really. So I mean, well, I do actually. I mean, I've got my son Jack to thank for the video bit. Because
his videos are awesome, by the way.
Yeah, he's way better than I am, way better than I am, and his editing skills are just off the planet. So he did a degree in design at university, then went traveling and kind of came back and said, I don't want to do design, I want to do something like video, and then off he went. And there's kind of this thing in our family where you say, if the opportunity isn't there, go start it, go create it. And so off he did, and he's launched his business V21, which is doing incredibly well. He basically taught me how to edit, and I mean he's streets ahead of where I am, but he kind of got me hooked into it. And because I've got ADHD, I then became hyper focused and obsessed by the whole thing, and just got better and better and better at it. And before you know it, I found that it was, and I was only diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 52 or 53, and so it was a revelation to me. And all this creativity started to come out. I think, what can you do with video and all this stuff? And the ADHD kicked in and got hyper focused and obsessed by the whole thing. And before you know it, you're pretty good at it, because you've done nothing else apart from that for the last 2 years. You're just so obsessed by it. So that's kind of how it happened. But for me, it's a revelation because I was a recruiter, and this whole marketing thing has just released all of this creativity that I didn't even know I had in my head. So it's been a life-changing moment, to be honest, for me.
When you're in the recruitment sector as well, I mean, obviously I do a lot of work within that space. Everything is so just outbound, cold calling, very little effect on branding. I guess, what have you found within that sector, and like why do you think it's just such a kind of archaic sector in terms of getting people with that mindset of like, hey, we need to be building personal brands, or like that's where we need to be focusing most of our energy on? Like, where do you think that lapse comes from? And
I think it's because it's fundamentally transactional, isn't it? So, you know, take job, find candidate, make money, repeat. And so it's quite short term in its thinking, and anything sort of further long term from a recruiter's perspective. And I get this totally, because I was one for such a long time. It's always the next deal, and your boss is always on your ass for your next month's figures. Well, marketing's not going to help with that. You know, marketing's 6, 8, 12, 18 months away. That's not going to help with me, you know, my KPIs for next month. So you become so focused on the here and now, and that is, where's the next job, where's the next candidate, can I fill this job? But it should, so for me, it should be the CEOs, the owners of businesses that are thinking, you know, fine, if you start up, I mean, if I was to start up a recruitment business today, of course I'd be doing outbound, I'd be on the phones, I'd be trying to talk to people. Absolutely, it's a no-brainer. But in the background also, what I would be doing is putting effort into, now I need to build brand as well, because this is going to pay dividends 12, 18 months down the road, so that I won't probably have to do as much outbound activity as I'm doing today. In 18 months, maybe I've got some inbound coming through as well. And it's exactly what we did at Red Sprout. Started off heavily outbound, really pushed in on the branding of the company, and got to the stage where we were 100% inbound in the end. We didn't have to do any outbound activity whatsoever. It all came in inbound. And so, yeah, but it's just longer term mindset. And that's really difficult at the moment, where every penny counts. Of course, we're obsessed with next job, next candidate, next placement.
What do you think in terms of, you know, one of the things you mentioned was like, you know, obviously you're all inbound now. Like, how long did that take? And then I'm curious to hear, like, do you think it's harder now with lots more people jumping on LinkedIn? Like, I'm seeing it where lots of people are starting this content journey. A lot of the posts kind of look similar. In terms of, like, especially with copy, like you see, you know, we're taught, let's write one line at a time. Let's make sure the first 3 lines look great.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. Even like the video stuff, like obviously there's been a trend with like banner here, and like kind of, I don't want to say like overly edited, but like kind of heavily edited.
Shay Rowbottom, you're saying basically everyone copies Shay Rowbottom, yeah.
Well, I think to some degree, but I think there's like, you know, I see that on Instagram as well. Like, there's a lot of those videos. So, with like where we are now, like, do you think that the strategy needs to evolve or change, or like, what advice do you give for people to like go forward and stand out when there's more noise with where things are at right now?
I think it's definitely more difficult now. That's not an excuse not to start, but it's definitely more difficult, and we're going to see it get more difficult in terms of organic reach as time goes on, because the algorithm is naturally going to become tighter and tighter and tighter. That is not an excuse not to start now, and I'm going to keep saying that, because it isn't. Because you've just pointed out the biggest problem with the whole thing. It gets samey, it gets repetitive, and what you'll start to see is that numbers drop off, and you know, your engagement ratios will start to decrease, not necessarily just because of the algorithm, but also because you're talking shit. You're talking the same stuff that you spoke about last month, last year, and it's all repetitive. So this evolution in content is absolutely critical. And we say this to all of our clients as well. You just got to be testing all of the time. If it doesn't work, and you can tell really quickly if this stuff doesn't work, no one likes it, comments on it, or shares it. And if they don't do that, don't do it again. It's a simple equation as to whether stuff works or not. And if it does work, do more of it. Absolutely do more of it. But test. I'm obsessed with the fact that there is a place on LinkedIn for short form Casey Neistat style vlog. Once you've built up an audience who trust you to a degree, tell a story, tell it quickly, get the point across, but make it all the acronyms still entertaining, engaging, related, you know, all of that stuff put in there, but actually make it something that people want to watch. I'm obsessed with the fact that there is a place for that on LinkedIn with video content, but also you're seeing a massive change now in terms of video views are dropping, so everyone's now going to go over to carousels. What I think everyone, you know, so it's like, oh my god, video doesn't work. Let's create this. Video carousel format now, and then everyone gets really bored of that really quickly. So, but I think, test, try something new. I started a series that was me sitting on the toilet called Grown from the Throne. I very quickly realized that people didn't like it because I wasn't getting the likes and comments and shares, and I didn't do it again. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was inspirational. Not many other people did.
A YouTube channel, like a secret YouTube channel.
Exactly.
I love that.
Well, so yeah, test, because I think the thing is as well, you really can't. I mean, often people are saying, and this is where the fear factor comes in. Oh my God, it's going to damage my brand. And me sitting half naked on the toilet talking didn't damage the brand. It only went to show that we are challenging, we're doing something different, we're prepared to test, so it doesn't damage the brand. So yeah.
Well, I think you bring up a great point too. It's like for a lot of small businesses, like you don't necessarily have to have that same fear of staying on brand. Why? Because nobody really knows your brand in the first place.
Exactly.
Whereas obviously if you're a huge company like Adidas or Nike or Apple, you do have to kind of stay on brand because you build up that brand. So it's a different argument. But then that filters down into small businesses where I've spoken to really small businesses that are hyper focused on staying on brand. I'm like, well, nobody really knows your brand. So like, even though it's like close to where your heart, no one really knows it.
No one gives a shit.
Exactly. So it's not going to impact the brand. But we got Bernard here. He says afternoon. Nantel just says, thanks for a gentle nudge. Been second guessing whether what I want to share is too personal.
Never.
No, and never. Then being personal is being real, and people respond to that. Don't apologize for the greatness that you bring to the table. I love that. So a little conversation going on here, and it says, my video editing is a mess. I call it the
Gerard.
I love that.
Hold on, Joel. So we have to just have a little competition now here because Gerard is obsessed about the way I say a certain word.
All right.
And he's all about the y'all, and I'm not very good at it. But I think in fact, Gerard, I think he even sent us an email with him saying, or a video with him saying y'all in it.
Y'all.
There you go.
See, you might not even know this, but I'm from Blackpool originally.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me.
Yeah, so it's like, that still is a little bit uncomfortable for me. Like, I'm not 100% on board, and I feel like I sound weird with that as well. We got, let's see, poop isn't real popular unless you're at Poopery. Okay, fair enough.
Nice.
Y'all, and then look at that, y'all. I love it. Well, hey, I love it. I love what you said about the experimentation piece. Little throw out here. One of the things I've been experimenting with is like the Jiffies, and those work really, really well because you could tie them into humor, and like humor is huge. And I found that those posts do really well. Yeah. I haven't experimented so much with the carousel, but I know, like, obviously people like, well, if you can get people to hang out longer, then that increases dwell time and it works. But at the end of the day, it's always about, like, how creative are you with your content? How much does it stand out? And how is it engaging?
That's the point. There's a guy over here. I don't know if you know of him. His name's Dan Kelsall. He runs a business called Offended Marketing. And he does what he says on the tin. Now, I mean, he's not a consistent producer of content, Dan. He's probably posts maybe once a week. But when he posts, boy, is it good. I mean, it's knockout good. There's effort, there's time, there's thought. And when you watch one of his videos, it's just, and his numbers, if we're going to go with the whole numbers thing, excuse me, too much beer, are off the chart. But because it's creative, it's well thought through. It's not just I'm going to chuck something out on LinkedIn because I haven't done anything for ages and I just got to put something out there. And his numbers are exceptional. So it's still possible to create a storm.
Is LinkedIn his primary platform that he's creating?
Yeah, because he's B2B marketing, so definitely 100%. But it's still possible to create an audience. You've just got to. The amount. I mean, people look at the videos, even I do, and they go, "Oh my God, it's amazing!" I want to do the same thing. And people don't appreciate that the effort that goes into a video is probably an hour walking the dog, thinking about, oh, what can I do? Where's the content ideas? Oh, that's a good idea. There's probably another hour in terms of, okay, where am I going to take this idea? Where's the setup? Where's the conflict? Where's the resolution? Or where's the story? Or what's the point I want to make? So you're probably talking about 2, 3, and then I'll probably chuck it into the team as well. Say, guys, what do we think about this? We'll chew it over for a little while. We broadly script it to extent of saying we know where it wants to start it. We know where the middle bit is. We know where we want to end it. But we won't really script it in terms of you say this and then. So you've probably got 3 or 4 hours work. before you even picked up the damn camera. And then, I mean, the picking up the camera is the easy bit. It's the thinking about what you're going to do in the first place. And then you pick up the camera, you do the stuff, and then you've got another hour or two of editing that. So it's a day's work to produce a 2-minute video. And so you can't just go and expect to get a big audience on LinkedIn. Hi, my name is Mark. I'm just walking down the street and I just thought I'd get onto LinkedIn and tell you all that I'm going for a client meeting, because no one gives a shit.
You used to be able to do that, like when they were first promoting, you know, you could. I know Sean always tells that story of like when he just did a video of him like getting back from the gym and it got 500,000 views. Yeah, I mean, today when I look at the video, see, here's the thing which I think is people don't think about with video content in general is like when you look at how long someone spends on LinkedIn. Copy is actually more attractive for people because, you know, if you're on there for 20 minutes a day and you've got a 3-minute video and you've got a short piece of content, you know, you're going to go to that shorter piece of content unless they know that when they watch your video, it's going to be entertaining. Like you said, it's going to be engaging and you're going to evoke that feeling. And I think it's a big challenge for people as well. I'm curious, like, what's your take on because like for me, I'm really big on like copy posts. Like I can bang them out quickly. I do some videos, and most of my videos are like not as thought out as that at all. They're on the fly, but I've been able to build an audience with copy. So I'm just curious to kind of hear your take and like what the difference would be in your mind, or like why do you think video's been so effective for you?
Yeah, you're the same as Liv. Liv's a copy queen. She loves copy. She loves, you know, writing well, and her lead is always good copy. My default is always video. I just prefer it as a medium. It works for me. Whereas I'm, you know, the grammar police would have a field day with me. But with video, I can just say it, and because I've got a little bit more confident with video, I guess, as well. I can just express myself and be, you know, slightly lunatic and show people the madness that's going on. It seems to have just come across quite well, and people do seem to enjoy that. So, I mean, I think my advice is go with the medium that you love the most. I mean, Leah Turner, I don't know if you know Leah Turner. Yeah. Leah Turner's exactly the same. Yeah. So, you know, Leah, copy is her default 100%, and she's bloody good at it, and she, you know, every now and again she'll pop a video up, and of course it goes mental because no one gets to see her that often, but copy's her absolute default. So go where your heart is would be my view. And almost, I think I'm almost to the opinion, sod what the algorithm's doing right now. It doesn't matter. You know, if you're going to, I mean, I think Dan Kelso is a great example of this. Produce something good in the medium that you love, and it's going to do well. There's some tactics involved in that. There's a massive amount of psychology, just as you said, in terms of whether people have got the time to be able to sit through a 3-minute, I mean, 3 minutes is pushing it on video content now. But a minute, even a minute and a half, you know, you're asking people to commit a minute and a half to video content, so you better make it good. You know, if you're just going to be literally doing this sort of piece to camera on a mobile with no transitions in there, nothing engaging, nothing to make the audience want to stay, your audience are going to disappear. They're going to be, so the first or pause, they're going to be off because they're bored. So so there is a ton of psychology involved in that. But I mean, my mantra still would be, choose the medium that you love the most and go with it. Because if you don't do video and you don't like video, then it's going to come across like that. So don't bother.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, like, how much do you think like who the person is just naturally plays into how well the personal brand is? Because I think obviously like Leah, I think like Chris Williams too in the UK, like he's a character, man. I mean, you know, you got to be kind of a character, and so like how much do you play into that, and how much do you think is just like natural kind of who you are, or is it just like anybody can? And I posted about this yesterday, like you know, everyone's like, oh, I need to build a personal brand because I need to, and then I'm like, if it feels forced, it just doesn't seem to do well. So like, what's your thoughts on that? I'd be curious to get your take on that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, if you're going to force it, it's really not going to work for me. And I think this is just heard my dog snoring in the background. Apologise if you heard that. So that was a big snore. Yeah, for me, God, what were we talking about? So I completely lost the thread now. He was saying
it's like how much impact the actual like personality of that person plays into the content doing well.
And there's no doubt about it, it does. I mean, I always set out when I started doing this. I just thought, I can't fake it till I make it. People are either going to like me or they're not going to like me, and a proportion of them probably will, and a proportion probably won't. So I might as well just be myself. And so what everyone sees on video is me. It's just that's me normal. You'd see the same person if you walked into the office every day. And so that authenticity, I know it's very overused, but that authenticity is really important. Because
what does that mean to you too? I'm always curious to hear different people's.
Yeah, I mean, to me, authenticity is just to actually tell the truth and tell it and do it in a, don't be fake about it. I mean, I'm not Gary V. I'm not going to be trying to pretend to be Gary V and do all this mad stuff. And I'm not Casey Neistat either. I'm just me. And so, be yourself about it, but also tell the truth. And I think this comes through in a lot of the content that I've put out over the years. LinkedIn is everything on LinkedIn is 5-star, glossy, and amazing. And everybody knows it's bollocks. It's not true. So tell the real story, because running a business, for example, right now is as tough as hell. And if you get through this and you've still got a business at the end of it, my hat is off to you. And there's so many people are obsessed about, we've got to grow, grow, grow. No, you haven't. You know what? If you survive now, brilliant, well done. So tell the truth and don't just gloss it up. That to me is what authenticity is about. If something goes wrong in the office or we screw up with a client, I'm going to tell that story because it's happened. I'll probably add on to that story what we did as a result. So we screwed up, this is what we did, client was really unhappy, we lost client, this is how we're going to resolve that in the future. There's that bit of inspirational bit to that piece of content as well, but I'll tell the truth, we screwed up, we absolutely messed up. And that for me is authenticity.
It's interesting too, because obviously being in the UK, like when I think of the UK, I just think like people are kind of ruthless and savage when it comes to just any of the inspirational kind of stuff, whereas like in the US, like the motivational, inspirational stuff flies off the shelf. So
we don't do it here.
No. So like, I'm curious to get your take on like the difference between the two, and like, because I know you've got a lot of clients in the US, or you've been able to win a lot of business. So do you think that's played into winning that business, the fact that like you have that?
No, because I think we still do inspirational, we still do motivational, but we do it in a very British way. So and I'll give you an example, and it comes back to our most viral video about no friends. The inspirational bit at the end of the video was me walking out the pub going, okay, that was a great night. And I'd like some of these people to be my friends. They're not yet, but there's hope for the future. That is that's UK inspiration. It's really subtle. It's really, below that. It's not rah, rah, rah. I'm going to quote you, it's something I've just read on an Instagram post on Pinterest or something and put it over LinkedIn. We don't do that in the UK. We don't do that in the UK. But inspiration comes in very different forms. So I think it is around telling the story, but it's actually all about that. This is the problem. This is what I had to solve, and this is how I solved it. That's where the inspiration comes, but we just don't do it in a big, flag waving, balloon blowing way. It's different, but it's still inspirational.
No, yeah, I love that. And Jennifer just said, key takeaway: produce something good in the medium you love and go with it. Couldn't agree more. And then playing yourself is the best role you'll ever land. I do find that is, especially within the corporate space, that's such a huge challenge. Is there's always that pressure of remaining on brand, so people don't want people to be themselves. But at the end of the day, that is the thing that wins on LinkedIn. It wins on TikTok. I mean, I got a friend that does short form physical comedy, and he went from 0 to 15 million followers in 11 months on TikTok. Transitioned it over to Instagram. He's got 1 million followers over there. Transitioned it over to YouTube, got 1 million followers. And I listened to him on a podcast in his recent podcast, and he was just like, just do something that you enjoy, and like, don't feel that pressure, like you said, with following the algorithm, trying to follow the trends. Like carousels, carousels might get you some more engagement potentially, but if it's a really bad carousel, it's not going to do anything for you.
Exactly.
So it's like, don't focus on the medium, focus on the quality of the content. So
we did one. I mean, we do carousels with our clients. We did one the other day. One of our clients, Liv's already told this story on LinkedIn, but one of our clients came through and said, can you do something for LinkedIn for Valentine's Day? And we just did a collective, no, no, thank you, because it's just that typical boring marketing. And then we just had this great, we brainstormed it a little bit and said, well, what can we do that's a little bit different? And they were a Microsoft 365 training company. And we thought, well, why don't you take the biggest Microsoft 365 programs, Outlook, PowerPoint, Excel, Word, and stick them into a Tinder frame, and then put some funny copy below it. So you've got things like Microsoft Word, my orientation shifts if you need it to, or Microsoft Teams, I love a group thing, so jump on in, and just made some fun out of that, but in a Tinder profile. Flew off the pages. People loved it. Why? Because it's just that little bit different. So it's not the, for me, it's just not the, it's not the format. It's not a carousel. It's not a text post. It's not a single image ad. It's not a video. It's what best tells the story. And also, so true, do what you like, do what you're passionate about, and that passion will come across whatever medium it is.
Yeah, well, that's where I think that's kind of part of the danger I think people fall into with LinkedIn, where it's like people get success with one medium and then they're just all about that medium. And in reality, you have to be able to experiment and switch it up. So I love that. Well, we're coming up to the end of the show here, and man, it's been great having you on here. I love everything you said. And I'm 100% on board with you too with the experimentation. I'm all about that. Now, obviously, it's a recruitment focused show, so I'd love for you to think back to when you're in recruitment, you know, whatever that was, but just thinking about like if you were starting a recruitment business or you were new into recruitment in this time period where like physical networking's out of the window, like cold calling is harder than it's ever been, outbound's harder than it's ever been. What would be your advice to people of like where to go and what to do and how to be successful in this climate?
You know, you're absolutely right. It's tough as out there at the moment. I think my only advice really would be sort of start as you mean to go on. And but this thing called social media is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't want to force people into thinking about personal brand, but you know, you've really got to leverage social media for your business, whatever that means to you individually. And it could be, you know, it could be LinkedIn video, it could be all this sort of stuff. But I mean, I'd really try and go inbound as much as you possibly can, because not only, you know, my age group, when we started in recruitment, it was all yellow pages and the phone and a Kalamazoo of candidates and clients, and off we'd go. You know, and cold calling everybody. But you've got a generation of younger people who are in hiring managers positions now who are, you know, whose communication methods are online, and receiving a cold call is very weird for them, and that's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We've got to find methods of communication and methods of allowing people to get to know us, which is essentially what you're doing through cold calling, through whatever you're doing. It's allowing people to get to know you. So find out how you can do that for your target market.
Yeah, love it.
And then you've got people coming to you, and that makes life so much easier.
Last question with that: how long did it take for you to get an inbound lead from the LinkedIn activity? Like, how long have you been consistent?
So we went from zero inbound to 100% inbound in probably about 18 months, 2 years, of pretty much putting out consistent video content every single day. So there was a lot of work and effort that went into getting us into that position. And I will caveat this, because this was in the glory days of LinkedIn video, where they literally just launched it. And so the video content was given massive profile on LinkedIn. And the organic reach is tougher these days. There's no doubt about that. But as I've said with Dan Kelsall, there's still a way that you can do that and achieve those results. So it's no reason to not start. Absolutely start. But I think, you know, we're all different. You know, all of us on this LinkedIn channel are different because we're different people. Show that difference. Just be, honestly, please, if there's one thing I can say, is do not be scared or try and hide behind your brand, your company name, or whatever it is, or because all you're going to do is fill yourself with fear, and your content by default is going to be as bland and vanilla as hell if you do that. Bring something different, bring a bit of you, and some people will like you, some people won't, but do business with the people that like you. But be yourself.
What's the best way to get a hold of you? I know you've got a lot of followers on LinkedIn. You probably got a ton of DMs with can I just pick your brain?
Yeah,
So,
get loads of that.
yeah, can I pick your brain for a couple minutes? Sure,
Exactly.
yeah. Here you go. Here's my promo. But what is the best way to get a hold of you? Is it through LinkedIn or like what?
It is, yeah, no, it is through LinkedIn, definitely. If you send me a message through LinkedIn, then I'll get back.
All right. Well, guys, just in case you do send a message to Mark, just be patient. And one of the things I say,
thank you for that.
number one, be patient, and like number two, just make it like super clear what your intentions are and like why you need help. And like, Mark helps people with LinkedIn content, like it's his business. So just be mindful of that as well. And I just make that joke about picking brain, because everybody I talk to who's doing stuff on LinkedIn, we literally would get 20, 30 messages a day minimum with just, can I pick your brain? And there's nothing wrong with doing that. But when people are putting out content, they're picking your brain. Like that's, just go watch someone's content, go check out the free resources they put out. So
exactly.
Mark, I appreciate it, man. It's been an honor, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again, maybe on Clubhouse, but probably sounds like LinkedIn.
Probably no.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and
my pleasure.
We'll talk soon here. And everybody out there, Jennifer, Gerard, Nantel, Bernard, Kevin, any of you guys out there, I really appreciate you all. Stay tuned for next Monday. We'll have another guest on as well, so just stay tuned for that announcement a couple days before, and appreciate all you guys. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me.